My name is Kimberly King. I am the Equal Employment Opportunity Director for the Georgia Department of Transportation. Part of our responsibility is to work with disadvantaged business enterprises, small businesses, veteran-owned businesses, smaller firms that traditionally have not had as great an opportunity to do business with the agency as they should have. For that reason, the Georgia Department of Transportation, in connection with the Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration, Federal Aviation Administration, Federal Rail Administration, have what is called the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, or DBE for short, which is the acronym that most people know. The DBE program is about making sure that federal funds are provided equitably to those small businesses and those disadvantaged businesses that have been identified by this office as eligible for program participation. We go through a certification process where we review those firms to make sure that they meet all of the eligibility criteria. Once that determination is made and the firm is approved for DBE certification, they are then supported in that certification in terms of us helping them to find opportunities to be engaged on a GDOT project or some other federally funded engagement. Sometimes what we hear from those firms when we are attempting to work with them in terms of offering that support is that they really need some assistance with bonding, with financing, with identifying areas of financial capital. And so for that reason, we have our supportive services staff to assist them in identifying where they can best have those needs met. But before that happens, one of the really important things for us is to make sure that those firms understand what they need to do to be best prepared to have access to that capital. That preparation means really understanding what their own needs are. To what end do they need that capital? What must their financial situation be to have access to that capital? What kind of documents are they going to need to provide? What kind of background experience are they going to need to demonstrate in order to have access to that capital? Those really are questions that need to be answered before the firm goes someplace seeking assistance in securing that capital infusion for their business. So as part of our supportive services consultancy, we sit with those firms and really help them understand what those capital needs should be, what they can be, and how they can have those capital needs met. But first, make sure that they are properly prepared to seek the kind of capital assistance that they actually need. So part of our objective in helping them to identify what those needs are, to make sure that they have a relationship with us, with the agency, with the supportive services consultant, so they know who to call, they know who to text, they know who to email to seek information, to seek that kind of assistance. I cannot stress enough how important it is to make sure that you are nurturing and maintaining relationships with the folk in those supportive services roles, at the agency with whom you're trying to do business, at the financial institution with whom you're trying to do business. People do business with people they know, with people they trust, with people with whom they've had experience, positive experience, certainly. And so making sure that you are maintaining and nurturing those relationships that you have developed in terms of doing business with folk is important. And so we want to make sure that we are stressing to those small businesses, those DBEs with whom we do business, the importance of maintaining those relationships. So we talk a lot about relationship and how that relationship works and why that relationship works. The other thing that I would say is that GDOTs, very often, I quote one of our board members that says GDOT is open for business. And in fact, GDOT is open for business. And in being open for business, we want to make sure that we are communicating what those opportunities are. Every month here at the Georgia Department of Transportation, we are letting federally funded projects, meaning we are identifying road work that needs to be done, either new road work or maintenance opportunities that need to be done here at the Georgia Department of Transportation, and we are identifying the kind of work necessary as it relates to a particular project and the dollar value associated with that project dollar amount. And we are communicating to our disadvantaged business enterprises, to our small businesses, where those opportunities are, where they are in terms of geographic opportunity, where they are in terms of dollar value opportunity, where they are in terms of the kind of work activity anticipated by those projects. And again, the relationships that you're building with the agency, with the supportive services consultancy, really helps you to be aware of where those opportunities are, because you're getting that information, and you're getting that information first. You're getting that information in an entire bundle where you know where, when, and how to take advantage of the opportunities that are being provided by the agency when it has an opening for a project. Most of the openings that we will have on those projects are for subcontracting opportunities for those DBEs. Disadvantaged business enterprise goals are attached to every federally funded project where there are subcontracting opportunities available and DBEs that operate in those subcontracting spaces. So one of the things we do, again, going back to the relationship idea, is that we make sure that we contact our supportive services staff to say, these are the projects that we have. These are the kind of work activities that we've attached to those projects. This is the goal amount of the project. Please identify DBEs that operate in these work activity spaces so that they are aware that the opportunities are available on these projects. Once we communicate with the DBEs that do the kind of work anticipated by the project in question, that the project opportunity is available, then we're talking to them about what their needs are in terms of getting attached to or engaged on that project. Are you interested in this project? If so, have you submitted a proposal to GDOT before? If not, and you're interested in submitting a proposal, let us assist you in identifying how best to formulate that proposal so that the likelihood of success is increased. Do you need bonding assistance to get attached to this project? If so, let us give you information about how to find that assistance and be very practical in terms of what that assistance is going to be. We ought not to be so theoretical. Cerebral is sometimes the term that I use to describe how we ought to be communicating with our DBEs. A more cerebral approach is really to talk about why we do bonding and what risk management looks like and why risk management is important. We all understand that risk management is a significant element of consideration for an agency this size. But what's more important for us, once we get past that risk management piece, that's really for us to deal with internally, is really offering practical advice to our DBEs about how and why bonding is going to be necessary on the project. And practical advice means putting them in the room with the firms that do the bonding, that offer the loans, that issue the lines of credit, and helping them to understand what they are going to have to do to put themselves in the best position to get that bond, to get that loan, to get an extension on their line of credit. So we're really putting them in the room very practically with the individuals who have the ability to do the kind of work necessary to get them bonded, to get them insured, to get that line of credit so that they can mobilize and get the job done. That is the kind of practical utilization of the supportive services assistance that we're looking to do with our firms. We don't want to just talk about it, as the term says. We want to be about it. We really want to be about helping folks to get actively, meaningfully engaged on a GDOT project. And the way that we can do that is to be practical in the utilization of the information, the advice, and the counsel that we are providing. Obviously, if you are seeking some sort of financial assistance, if you are seeking a loan, if you are seeking to extend a line of credit, if you are seeking to have your company bonded for a particular job, you really have to be properly prepared to get the assistance that you're looking for. And that proper preparation really means to have all of your documents lined up, to have all of the material that's going to be requested of you from that loan officer, from that lending institution, from that bonding agency available, have the requisite number of copies, have the information notarized, have signatures where they're supposed to be, have your banking account information, having your credit information, having your business identification number available, having a resume, if you will, of the kind of projects that you've done, what your experience is, the kind of equipment that you have to do that business. The firms that are to be extending that credit, offering that bonding, really want to know that you have the ability to do the kind of work anticipated by the contract that you are seeking their assistance on. And so those preparatory things really mean that you have all of your ducks in a row, if you will, as it relates to having all of the information that they're going to need readily available when they ask for it, so that you're not scrambling around looking for that information, trying to prepare that information in pursuit of the lending institution's assistance at the wrong time, later than you ought to be. And I cannot stress to you enough how important that preparation is. But the positive thing about being a disadvantaged business enterprise certified by the Georgia Department of Transportation is that you have access to assistance that's going to help you prepare those documents. Again, very practical in terms of the way we're trying to utilize our supportive services. We're going to have you sit down with the supportive services consultant, and they're going to go through the documents that you've prepared and have a checklist, if you will. And so they're able to say to you very specifically, you need these 3 pieces of paper, or you need these 3 pieces of identification, or you need these 3 banking documents, or you need this kind of information on your resume. You need this many projects to demonstrate your expertise. So you're going through with them and you're having a very practical conversation about what you need to have at the ready in order to seek these financial institutions' assistance. And they're going to help you put that packet together so that it is fully and completely prepared, so that when you go and seek that financial institution's assistance, you have all of those documents at the ready. So relationship building is another thing that I talked about. And again, I really can't stress enough how important it is to make sure that you nurture and maintain those relationships. People do business with people that they know, with people that they trust, with people in whom they have confidence in terms of the ability to get the job done right, to get the job done on budget, to get the job done on time. And so your ability to demonstrate that you're able to do those things really comes from having done them before, from people having seen you do them before. And those people are the people with whom you do business. And so when I talk about maintaining and nurturing those relationships, I just mean keep in touch with folks. Talk to them about your business. Let them know what you're doing, what you're hoping to do, what your projections look like, what you've done in the past. Have the ability to have those conversations. Make an appointment. Come in and talk to the folk with whom you do business periodically. Don't always rely on a phone call or a chance meeting at some sort of workshop or network. Those are important, certainly keeps you in front of folk, but your ability to maintain and nurture those relationships really is about putting yourself in front of those people, putting your personality where your business is, and really letting people know what you do and how you do it. And the best way for you to do that is really to make yourself available to have those conversations, to sit down and talk about your business. No one can be as passionate or informed about your business as you can. So it's important that you make yourself available to have those conversations periodically, to really keep the folk with whom you do business updated about the business that you're doing, where you're doing that business, how you're doing that business. Is your business growing? Should your business be growing? Are you meeting your own goals in terms of those identifiers that you've set up for yourself in your business? Make sure you're communicating that. Let people know what you're doing, how you're doing, and when and how you need help. Again, asking for that help from someone that you know, from someone with whom you've done business before, is a lot easier and much more likely to end up positively than it is for someone that you don't know. So I said before that the Georgia Department of Transportation is open for business, and in fact it is open for business. Every month we are letting a set number of projects, depending on how many projects have been made available by our engineers in terms of the design and construction element that's available on that project. And so every month we are communicating with our board members about how many projects there are, about what kinds of projects there are, and when those projects are going to be let. So far this year, we have let $1,340,247,000 worth of projects. That is a significant amount of our budget. That $1 billion is about 3/4 of what we're going to spend during the course of the year on our project lettings. And so every month we are communicating to our board members the value of those projects, the number of those projects, and the kinds of projects that we're talking about. Largely what we're talking about when you're doing business with the Georgia Department of Transportation, obviously roadways, highway construction. That's what we do. But those highways have to be designed. Those highways have to be built. Those highways have to have all the attendant work that happens along with them happening at the same time. So sometimes that's going to mean landscaping is important. Sometimes that's going to mean purchasing the property on either side of those roadways is going to be necessary. Hauling is going to be necessary. Concrete is going to be necessary. Fencing is going to be necessary. Erosion control is going to be necessary. Never think that there's only one thing that happens on a GDOT project, because there are several things that happen on a GDOT project, hundreds of things that happen on a GDOT project, and each of those elements of work activity can be identified by a subcontract, and those subcontract opportunities are really where we fit our disadvantaged business enterprises. Most of the projects we're talking about are going to be safety enhancements. They're going to be roadway improvements in terms of maintenance activity. They're going to be bridge work. They're going to be obviously building up those roadways, perhaps making them bigger, adding an exchange, adding an additional lane of traffic. All of that takes time. All of that takes energy and effort and money, and the Georgia Department of Transportation is doing that constantly. So those opportunities will always exist, and the same kind of work activity is going to be attached to those projects. So again, in terms of building those relationships, if you're doing business with the Georgia Department of Transportation, that is an area of opportunity that can remain constant for your business, because we're constantly building new roadways and we always have to maintain them. The best advice I can give you is to be ready. And to be ready, and to be ready. And when I say be ready, I mean be properly prepared in terms of offering the kind of information that's going to be necessary to help that lending institution make a positive decision on your behalf. Have all of your paperwork in hand. Have that paperwork updated. Have it signed and notarized where it needs to be. Have all your accounting information. Have your accountant to review that information. And you absolutely should have an accountant. If you are a business owner and you don't have an accountancy background yourself, find an accountant, a good, honest, thorough accountant that's willing to work with you. Part of being a business owner is knowing and understanding your business needs. And part of the business need is to have successful professionals around you to assist you in growing and developing your business. You cannot possibly know how to do everything, and it's not reasonable to expect that you will. And so make sure that you have surrounded yourself with professionals who are able to assist you in building and developing that business and taking it where you want it to go. And part of that is preparation. So I would say to you again, make sure that you're nurturing and maintaining relationships with the agencies, with the people that you're trying to do business with, that you're properly prepared in terms of having the information necessary to get the assistance you need, and know where to find that assistance. And part of finding that assistance is working with the Georgia Department of Transportation Supportive Services Consultants once you've become a certified DBE. And being a certified DBE provides you entree to a world of business opportunities that you may not have known existed before, or certainly that you may not have had access to. So get in touch with us, build that relationship, and allow us to help you grow and develop your business.